Hello, my name is Mackenzie, and I am a graduate student at the Grace Abbott School of Social Work. I am a Kearney resident completing the program virtually after I obtained my BSW in social work from UNK in the spring of 2020. I would like to thank the Kearney City Council for allotting me some time today in order to advocate for a vulnerable population, both within our local area, throughout the state of Nebraska, as well as our country and even the globe, in hopes that this discussion will act as a reminder of this very real social problem impacting our residents and plant some brainstorming seeds to create further solutions. In sum, I will cover the definition of homelessness at a broad glance, discuss the importance of it as a social justice issue, including the root causes, review the effects of homelessness on the individual and society, provide a narrowed view of the target population of discussion today, homelessness in Nebraska, and an overview regarding the policies in place in the state trying to alleviate this problem, and providing two prominent programs that address homelessness, one here in our state and another available nationwide. Finally, I will end on the role that a forensic social worker would play in addressing homelessness. To begin, I have identified from dictionary.com a couple of definitions for you. Firstly, homelessness, the topic of discussion today, as well as poverty, as upon my review, it's clear that homelessness is really nothing more or less than an extreme form of poverty. Of course, people experiencing homelessness are likely, as the definition states, having little or no money, goods, means of support, experiencing the condition of being poor, or deficiencies of the necessary things for a successful and happy life. Homelessness itself, the lack of permanent housing, especially in the condition generally as a matter of public concern. I'm not going to read word for word, as you can see there within what is included. It should be noted that international agencies, governments, researchers, or civil society, they've all adopted different definitions of homelessness depending on language, socioeconomic conditions, cultural norms, the groups affected, and the purpose for which the homelessness is being defined. The experience itself of homelessness is not fully captured with the definitions I am able to provide today without richer definitions that go beyond the deprivation of a physical shelter. On the following slide, I'll have some categories in which HUD uses to categorize homelessness. And in brief here, I wanted to touch on some of this criteria for defining homeless. This is from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, who work closely with this vulnerable population. These categories here are listed in order to help clarify that individuals who lack resources and support networks are able to obtain the housing that meets HUD's definition of homeless. That is an important factor when determining who is eligible for their assistance. So here we have, of course, those who are literally homeless, those in imminent risk, those under federal statutes, and those fleeing and attempting to flee domestic violence. So I thought that this was an interesting resource to go ahead and provide in addition to the others. It is impossible to have a conversation about the social justice aspect of homelessness without including human rights violations. One of the most basic human rights protected by a number of international human rights treaties is access to safe and secure housing, as I've listed here, and on the bottom right I have more links to be able to follow for more information on this subject. States aren't obligated to provide everyone experiencing homelessness with a wonderful home free of charge, but they do need to make sure that everyone can access basic shelter and housing. This housing needs to be safe, adequate, and affordable to the concerned person or family, and also ensure sufficient privacy. So next we will kind of talk about the effects of homelessness on the person and kind of how that furthermore impacts their access to human rights. But here we have, of course, more than just housing, right? You take away the house, what else do they need as far as accessing education, Social Security, freedom from discrimination, the right to vote, so many other things that are incorporated with not having stability that often are swept under the rug and not looked at. Furthermore, I'd like to notate the causes of homelessness that, as previously mentioned, is caused by a variety of factors, including structural, relational, systemic, or even a combination of all. Structurally, a lack of adequate income, no access to affordable housing, rental discrimination, foreclosure, lack of education. Individual and relational factors include failed relationships, mental health issues, death of a loved one, addictions, family problems. Systemic factors are including lack of mental health support and lack of access to medical care. While it is impossible to fully grasp all of the effects of homelessness in one slide for you guys, I have located and want to highlight just a few here on the screen with some resources below. Just to name a few here in an effort to save time. Of course, being homeless, lack of basic hygiene, can't access physical and mental health care when needed. Infectious diseases are a major problem. Substance abuse, very easy access, and wanting to escape your mental health problems. Hospitalizations that you cannot pay for, so those are paid by the public. Public resources are used up. This creates, instead of income, expenses, including incarceration, right? Also a high likeliness of being incarcerated because of breaking the law to access resources, and so on and so forth. Of course, psychological issues, increased sexual assaults, individuals suffer from dangerous exposure to the elements. One can only imagine, right, the full picture of what it would be like to live homeless. But I think it can be agreed that no one should experience this, and we should work towards positive solutions to fix it. Ensuring that the target population is identified homeless in Nebraska. Here I have located a resource, the National Alliance to End Homelessness, located within here, the link. It states here there's a fact sheet included for your reference. 2,421 Nebraskans experienced homelessness in 2018. That is 20% lower than 2014, so that is good progress. Here you can see some more statistics regarding homelessness in the state if you would like to learn more. Rather than copying and pasting all of the information from the websites located, I thought it best to give you the links and kind of provide a brief summary here in an effort to save time. So the Nebraska Homeless Assistance Program is a grant program comprised of the Nebraska Homeless Assistance Trust Fund and the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, Emergency Solutions Grant. The Homeless Shelter Assistance Trust Fund is a state funding that is based on a 25-cent set aside for each $1,000 of value of real estate sold in Nebraska and collected via the documentary tax stamp on real estate sales. Now, this is a very complicated subject matter and could use its own presentation within itself. But furthermore, there is more information located at this link. The Nebraska Commission on Housing and Homelessness, it's comprised of 15 members appointed by the governor. And this objective here is to develop ongoing specific policies and program recommendations for the governor that address affordable housing and homelessness / at-risk homelessness, as we mentioned earlier, issues within the state of Nebraska. As mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, it is my hope that this kind of encourages some brainstorming of possible further solutions. As I've noticed in my reviews, there are very slim pickings, so to speak, when it comes to specific resources in the state of Nebraska, and especially in the Kearney area I'd like to focus on. Very difficult to find actual centers for homeless to go. Crossroads here, as I note, was started by First Baptist Church in Hastings in 1983. It was a soup kitchen with only one sleeping bed, and that transitioned to exponential growth by 2010 of 596 guests staying, 88 adults, and 109 children and families. Moving into 2011 and early 2012, it expanded to Kearney. In 2013, capacity of 42 individuals in Kearney, and so forth. this service has really had groundbreaking services, including the Kearney Thrift Store, grand opening of the Mission Avenue Thrift, which I'm learning about as I've located in this presentation as well. Had a grant awarded for the Kearney Transitional Housing Project, a record stay of 726 guests. That is actually incredible for what started as something so small. Just for Ladies Property and Business was purchased in 2018, and so on and so forth. Let's see, they also have a net grant from the Nebraska Recycling Council provided an enhancement of the program of recycling there at Crossroads. Oh, excuse me. I would edit that out, but I have recorded this too many times. I think my voice is dying out. But really great things that are happening. Lodge Apartments open. This site is ever expanding, and it looks like there is a campaign to bring these services even into Lexington. So this Crossroads can be found in Hastings, Kearney, and Grand Island, and all of the information is jam-packed into this link right here. In the national realm, I wanted to highlight, because of my interest also in the legal field, when it comes to homelessness, there is a stigma around it, but there is also some places who criminalize and demonize homelessness as a way of trying to prevent it from happening. So the National Homelessness Law Center, excuse me, my voice is going out, is an organization that's dedicated to using the power of the law to end and prevent homelessness, and furthermore with the social justice theme. They believe that all human beings have the right to basic standard of living, including a safe, affordable housing, access to healthcare, etc., that we have previously discussed. Furthermore, looking here, the progress, the ruling of Martin versus Boise, and that's what I want to discuss, and I will attach that here within. So they were able to affirm in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, they affirmed that homeless persons cannot be punished for sleeping outside in the absence of adequate alternatives. A lawsuit that was challenging Boise, Idaho's ban on sleeping in public. So that was considered a dub, or what we call a win. So that was something very interesting to learn about that they had accomplished. The hashtag I Ask for Help Because effort, as a part of the Housing Not Handcuffs campaign is also very interesting, and I will furthermore put that link in here as well. So just some different ideas where legally you can advocate on that level as well. And the right to education for students, the McKinney-Vento Act, which some may be familiar with, but maybe not all, through impact litigation. Very cool work that they are doing here. Like I said, I located the link in here in an effort to save my voice and time, because I think I'm running over anyway. I have located that within. The elusive role of a forensic social worker is continuing to be defined and coming into its own in present day. It often plays a key role in criminal justice reform in the United States, so I've found. So regarding the National Homeless Law Center, that would be likely a great place for a forensic social worker to play their role, providing offenders. So more so maybe when the homeless meets incarceration, they would be kind of an ally with them to work through psychosocial guidance, offering testimony and advocate for them.